time in here for you both to weigh in on something I read this morning and our team all talked about is really fascinating. It's from a column, an opinion column in the Washington Post this morning by Janelle Ross. She writes in part, Carson and his team have to protect and vigorously defend the once violent and poor, now delivered and rich story hard. Carson's up from nothing saved by Jesus and personal effort only story works primarily with white Republican voters. For some, it affirms the conscious or unconscious connections, stereotypes they draw between blackness, poverty, and violence. For others, it demonstrates that Jesus saves, and for others still, it is a narrative that says other potentially costly social solutions to poverty and violence are not necessary. That struck me. Ben, your thoughts?
Look, I think for different people, they're going to like Ben Carson for different reasons. And I think his story is one that's uplifting because he is an individual that fought hard and came out ahead and turned his life around from a young age. So it depends on your perspective or where you're coming from. But the reason why I think they're fighting back so hard is because they feel like this has gone beyond the norm. I mean, when I was young at his age, when we're talking about this, there might have been 3 or 4 people in the neighborhood that would have known me well to know what I'm really like. You don't have a big friend circle when you can't drive and when you're 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, especially when we had neighborhoods 50 years ago, which were very different makeup than they are today. So to me, it is not that this seems more of a I want to nail Ben Carson to the wall for saying something untrue, and I'm going to figure out a way to make him look bad than it is about actually looking at his story and saying, is he a good guy?
Mark, is this key to what she says in this column, white Republican voters?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Ben Carson, the greatest lie in American history is the myth of the self-made person. Nobody makes themselves. We're all shaped by our communities, by people who struggled and sacrificed for us, by governments that offer safety nets. And what Ben Carson is able to do essentially is reject all that stuff and say
that I
was saved.
The government didn't make me, though, Mark.
Let me finish my point, but I didn't interrupt you. Ben Carson is able to say, because I'm talking about Ben Carson, Ben Carson is able to say, I was saved by Jesus and hard work. That allows him to reject a safety net. That allows him to push back against the expansion of a welfare state. That allows him to resist tax cuts for the middle class and the poor and tax hikes for the wealthy. It allows him to create an entire narrative. And when people say, hey, wait a minute, why are you doing this? Ben Carson can say, hey, because I did it myself, and it makes white voters feel comfortable to say that, look, this black guy himself is telling you.
I don't think it's
to be clear here, guys, I got to wrap it up, but to be clear here, there is no disputing that he grew up poor in Detroit and struggled and made an incredible accomplishment becoming the neurosurgeon that he is. I have to leave it there. You will be back for more. Thank you both very much.